Hello, superfans. Welcome to Alberta News and Views and the Alberta Report podcast on YouTube. From Danielle Smith. Breaking news. The Alberta and Canadian governments have reached a historic agreement that will unleash the Alberta energy sector. It will create tens of thousands of jobs and it will attract billions of dollars in new investment. Now, this is all hypothetical. Canada is in full meltdown mode today. It is crazy what is going on. Stephen Guilbeault resigned as minister. I believe he's still staying on in the Liberal caucus, though. The Liberals are melting down because of this deal, this oil and gas deal, this pipeline deal that Danielle Smith signed with Mark Carney today. This deal includes the potential for an additional 1.4 million barrels per day in pipeline capacity to the West Coast, almost tripling Alberta oil exports to Asian markets. The coastal natives, the coastal tribes in British Columbia vowed to block any form of pipeline to the coast. A huge hurdle. It's crazy, all of the theories about what happened between Mark Carney, Danielle Smith, and this actual deal. Ottawa has also agreed to drop the oil and gas production cap and suspend the net zero power regulations so Alberta can focus on reducing emissions through our tier system and world-leading carbon capture technology instead. Now, this right here is extremely important. I'm gonna tell you why and show you why here in a sec. The tier system, remember that. Although this is a massive win for Alberta and Canada, we will still hold the federal government accountable for keeping their end of the bargain. There is a lot of work left to do, so let's roll up our sleeves and get the job done, Alberta. I think Danielle Smith knows that the likelihood of getting private investment to build a pipeline to British Columbia is like impossible. But the win for her was this right here. The no oil and gas production cap, no net zero power regulations, 1 million barrel per day, $400,000 TMX expansion, and deep water port access for oil tankers. It is all about the tier system and the carbon credit system. Now, this amplifies it big time in Alberta. Mark Carney is aggressively traveling the planet right now to get the green grift growing with the carbon credit scheme. They created this fake business to create a new currency that countries can get carbon credits and sell for real life dollars. And it's all about emissions caps and green projects and biodiversity, all of this stuff. It's complicated and it's made to be complicated. So regular folks don't understand how it actually works, but we have artificial intelligence to break it down. Watch how Mark Carney lights up when he talks about this. How the carbon tax in Alberta now has increased substantially in April too, by the way. It's lots of money for him.
What is in this agreement are the components, the two things. One is an agreement that then is finalized and made more specific over the course of the next several months by the start of April. But at its core is tightening the tier system, which is the industrial carbon price system here in Alberta, to a level of at least $130 with a pass price from there. What does that mean? It means more than a 6 times increase in the industrial price of carbon.
6 times the increase. He lights up because all of his investors, he is Mr. Investment. Brookfield, he is going to make $1 bazillion off of this. Danielle Smith lights up. To us, carbon tax bad. To Danielle Smith and others creating this system, carbon tax increase good because it offsets the dollars, the money lost in creating expensive oil, which is what the carbon tax does, but it creates more credits so they can sell it into the system. And that's that's in a nutshell That's a rough way of saying it to you without exploding your brain. Because it's complicated. There's a lot to this system. So the carbon tax in Alberta, specifically the industrial carbon pricing under the province's technology innovation emissions, the tier system, okay? It raises the rate from the current frozen level of $95 a ton to a minimum effective credit price of $130 per ton. With the new agreement to be finalized and implemented by April 1st, 2026, the deal focuses on industrial emitters, oil and gas, electricity, and all these other systems, right? Now, will this make Alberta oil less competitive in the global market? To sum all of this shit up, short-term cost pressure may slightly disadvantage Alberta oil versus ultra-low-cost OPEC barrels. But the deal's export and low-carbon upgrades should enhance overall positioning, especially as global carbon pricing levels the field. Industry groups like CAPP hail it as a win, blah, blah, blah. So how is it offset with the carbon credits? Now, this is where it goes all nuts, okay? Province's industrial carbon pricing system, carbon credits, play a key role in helping facilities offset and manage the financial burden of emissions above their regulated limits, which is raising the carbon tax. So they take all of that shit. So tier is an output-based pricing system, meaning facilities aren't charged for all emissions, but only for those exceeding emissions performance standards, sector-specific intensity benchmarks based on top-performing operations. So a facility emitting below its EPS limit generates emissions performance credits. You get a little bonus thing, each representing 1 ton under the limit. These are tradable and can be sold to other companies and on the market. So you get your project registered and credits issued. Open accounts, choose how to sell it. There's brokerages that you can contact and you can sell it on the market. It's crazy. Transfer your credits and get paid. Buyer sends purchase order. You transfer serialized credits in the Alberta carbon registries. Buyer retires them for tier compliance. You get paid. Usually net 15-30 days. It's unbelievable what is happening in this world right now. It has nothing to do with climate and actual climate. And you realize this when people really start talking about it and break it down. Stephen Guilbeault, when he resigned, he said, over the past few months, several elements of the climate action plan I worked on as a Minister of the Environment have been or are about to be dismantled. Mark Carney is dismantling it because it actually has nothing to do with climate. He doesn't care about this shit. He cares about implementing the green carbon credit system because it's all about money. It always has been about money. I actually think Justin Trudeau and all those meatheads actually believed in the shit they were spewing. Kind of like with Stephen Guilbeault. And now he feels like he's been betrayed. Because it's like he's finally realizing it was all a lie. It was all bullshit to implement the system that Mark Carney, Big Daddy, is actually doing. It's crazy. The consumer carbon, he goes on to say, the dismantling of the consumer carbon pricing, net zero emissions vehicle standard, the oil and gas sector emissions cap, the framework to eliminate fossil fuel subsidies, and the clean electricity regulations. It's all gone, Stephen. It was all a lie. Nobody believed your bullshit. You were a pawn. The Liberals were all pawns. And what's really funny is here is Elizabeth May in full meltdown. And remember, she had such a hard time supporting Mark Carney with the budget. Such a hard time because she knew that it was going to support oil and gas. It's unbelievable, the lack of brain cells in these politicians' heads.
We knew, we had a lot of advance notice that there would be some kind of memorandum of understanding between the government of Alberta and Premier Danielle Smith and Prime Minister Mark Carney. But this is simply unimaginable. This is a betrayal of so many different values, so many different agreements, so many different orders of rights and existing Canadian law. It completely sets the stage for the complete abandonment of Canada's climate policy. It is simply shocking. So I will go through in short order.
Don't bother. They are all pawns from people that know that it is just a green grift. It is just a stupid agenda. I can't believe that people can't see it. It's extremely frustrating. So what else happened today with Doug Ford in Ontario is he signed a historic agreement with Chief Energy leader from the Martin Falls First Nations to build the roads to the Ring of Fire. Our agreement will see shovels in the ground by next summer, connecting Martin Falls to the provincial highway network for the first time and unlocking the incredible economic potential of the vast critical mineral reserves in northern Ontario. You can start to see how everybody is making money off of this, off of these major projects. The regular folk like you and I, we just get jobs. Remember, we just get jobs in a country where it doesn't pay to work because of taxes, and more taxes. I'm going to keep you updated with as much as I can with all of this stuff. Mark Carney is a Canadian politician of old, and he is really starting to distance himself from this Liberal government. And he is gaining a lot of conservative votes because the vast majority of conservative voters out there just have no idea how this green grift works. If Mark Carney gets rid of the gun buyback bullshit, you are going to see a lot of blue voters in Canada walking over to the red voting side, because that was a huge issue for a lot of them. Like I said, I will keep you updated with as much as I can when I can. All of you out there, like, share, and take care.